Last March, when news came out about European countries rejecting massive quantities of defective COVID supplies and equipment sent by China, NBC reporter Ken Delanian wrote an article suggesting that China's coronavirus response was helping it overtake the United States as a global superpower. With Italy in dire need of medical equipment, an economic superpower stepped in to help. No, not the United States, he wrote, it was China. 2 weeks later, NBC tweeted, U.S. reports 1,264 coronavirus deaths in over 24 hours. Meanwhile, in China, where the pandemic broke out, not a single new coronavirus death was reported. NBC's report and tweet received criticism, including from Florida Senator Marco Rubio. He tweeted, "Beyond being grotesque, it's bad journalism. We had no idea how many cases China really has, but without any doubt, it's significantly more than what they admit to." MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle then challenged Rubio on TV.
I need to ask you this because I'm a journalist. We're not just some personalities. You called out journalism. And I need to understand why on earth you did this.
What on earth has happened to NBC? Do they know that they have become the unofficial mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party? And how did it happen? It all started with the idea of a theme park in China. 20 years ago, in 2001, soon after China joined the WTO, NBC's parent company, NBC Universal Media, began plans to build a theme park in the world's most populous country. But the project was difficult for NBC because it wasn't getting approval from the Chinese regime. When Universal's rival Disney got the CCP's approval in November 2009 to build a theme park in Shanghai, Universal felt the pressure and expedited its efforts to win over the Chinese regime. A year later, in November 2010, NBC signed a memorandum of cooperation with the Chinese state-run Xinhua News Agency, confirming that the two sides established a business relationship regarding international news broadcasts. The Xinhua News Agency is the Chinese equivalent of Reuters in Britain and AP in the United States. It is the official mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party. But the problem is that Xinhua is more than just a disseminator of CCP propaganda. Chinese state-run news organizations such as Xinhua are known to be spy agencies. Those of us in the Chinese community know it too well. Author Markos Kounalakis wrote a book about how China and Russia use their foreign news bureau as fronts for editors and journalists to work as spies. Kounalakis said in an article in the Miami Herald in February 2020, China's reporter agents collect and analyze critical information about the United States and other countries. Bureaus then package and deliver it to their masters back home. In the process, they also repurpose it as a quasi-journalistic, propagandistic product for a mass foreign audience in their newspapers and broadcasts. According to the NBC Xinhua Memorandum, the two companies will conduct extensive and in-depth cooperation in the collection, production, and broadcast of TV news content and personnel training. So NBC is now Xinhua's official partner and sponsor in the United States, legitimizing its activities, production, and practices. Please note that personnel training is part of the memorandum. Does this mean that NBC will be training CCP spies, and the CCP spies will be training NBC staff? Maybe that's why NBC News reports feel more and more like communist propaganda. And that's the reason behind NBC's pro-China coverage on the coronavirus that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. By the way, in February 2020, the Trump administration listed Xinhua and 5 other Chinese state-run news agencies as foreign missions and not as news organizations. Steve Kappas, then president of NBC News, said at the 2010 signing ceremony that NBC values its partnership with Xinhua and hopes to strengthen cooperation and common development. Did he know that no sane Chinese person believes what Xinhua News says? Not even the weather forecast. Chinese people commonly believe that the state-controlled media in China is just the biggest joke. Did Mr. Kappas have any idea of what he and NBC signed up for? But NBC Universal executives were not fools. They got what they wanted. 4 years after the NBC-Xinhua collaboration began, China's State Council in September 2014 finally approved the Universal Beijing Resort. The construction began in 2019, and it will be the world's largest Universal Studio Resort. In the end, nothing is more satisfactory to the CCP than someone who willingly and actively promotes its propaganda and agenda in the West. So NBC Universal was well rewarded. It's been reported that Universal Beijing Resort will be on a full 5G network. Universal announced its collaboration with China's Alibaba and will be using facial recognition technology and big data to let visitors scan their faces and enjoy the parks. In recent years, the Chinese Communist Party has been using facial recognition technology to monitor and collect data on its citizens. Universal's latest resort may be a place for the CCP to monitor and collect data on visitors and tourists. By collaborating with Alibaba, Universal might have to share its customer data with Alibaba and the big brother behind it. I did 2 videos on how big tech companies use 5G technology to collect data and how our privacy is at risk. One is called Who Has Your Data, and the other one is called A Trap of Common Destiny. You can watch them if you want to learn more about the risk of 5G and these big tech companies. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and share my videos. Have a great evening.